What's up, players? This is Hall of Famer Teddy Long, and right now we're getting ready to have a six-pack challenge match with Potsy and Tino on the big podcast show. Holla, player.
Hello, everybody. It's the Potsy and Tino show. As you can see, it's Potsy by himself currently. I am hoping that Tino will join shortly, but it's been 2 weeks. We haven't been on. Obviously, there was Thanksgiving, and then there was I was on vacation in Virginia. So I wanted to go ahead and welcome everybody back to the Potsy and Tino show. Our theme song, as always, is brought to you by Adam's House Cats, called The Wrestling Song. It's available on iTunes for 99 cents. Just as a heads up, the show can be followed right here on YouTube. I believe we are also on Twitch and on Facebook right now. Somebody will have to tell me whether or not we actually are. I will try to keep up with the comments. I see that Chris Barrett's already in the audience. What's up, Chris Barrett? A little bit different this week, specifically because, well, with Tino not here at the moment, my speech pattern might not be as slow and as conversational as it normally is, but because it's been 2 weeks, I do want to go ahead and give everybody the old-fashioned what we always do every week, which is what's up with you. So when it comes to Tino, I know that Matthew, his son, his high school football team actually won their divisional playoff thing, so they're headed to the championships. So keep an eye out for that. Give them a big thumbs up and a congratulations on that. Again, hopefully we will have him join us. When we do, I'll actually ask him what's up with him. But I do want to go ahead and say what's going on with me. Yeah. I seem a little bit distant, whatever. And part of the reason is because when it comes to trying to find a job in today's job market, I joked earlier today that the job market today is very, very specifically, the message I seem to get is, thank you for applying. We've decided to go in a different direction. So I've now labeled the continuing online job market as the new Tinder. You guys can jump in and apply some chat if you want to. Michael Turner, what's going on? Haven't seen you in a while. Haven't talked to you. Chris Barrett says he's got a seat next to the desk for deadline. Make sure you're screaming in Booker T's ears so I can hear it, Chris Barrett. I really want to hear that. With us being on Twitch tonight, we obviously have some other people joining us. If you want, please go ahead and join in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. Tonight's shirt, by the way, is brought to you by the Iron Ref, Sean Pittman. Anybody who has gone to GalaxyCon and seen their cosplay pro wrestling probably knows who I'm talking about. He's the guy that actually got me involved in refereeing. So I just want to let everybody know about that. I don't want to yell at the number one brother. Okay, Chris Barrett. I'm not getting banned tonight, so I will have to stop reading your comments live, although that one wasn't too bad. Just a little busy, but here I am. Michael, so glad to have you involved. Do want to let everybody know that orders went live on my new comic book. A lot of people have seen it on my Instagram, at Rob Pochak, at Rob Potsy Pochak. Zor, Z-O-R. Here's the t-shirt for it, by the way. Those will probably be available at some point. I had it set up here so hopefully, people could see it, but then I realized that the way that I had the camera set up, it wasn't going to happen. But anyways, Zor, just so anybody that doesn't know, Zor is the story of a little girl who loses an heirloom from her mom. She cries as she loses the heirloom down the sink, and the tears in the sink end up creating a character named Zor who goes on an adventure to get the ring back. It's very Pixar meets Wizard of Oz, if you will. Very proud of it. It's all ages. Co-created it with a gentleman by the name of Michael Adams, who some people may have heard of his last comic book called Kung Fu Legume, about a Mexican jumping bean that learns kung fu and then starts adventures that way. Um, that one, by the way, is currently in early development stages for a cartoon series. So just wanted to let everybody know that if you haven't picked up Kung Fu Legume, might be hard to find, but the comic book is out there from Keenspot and available on the keenspotshop.com. Other things that are going on with me, have to get my cover ready for Zor #2, which is due on the 14th. So that's been a process trying to get the artwork just the way that I want it. I'm sticking with my approach that I did with the first issue, which was trying to create covers that are painted in essence, although digitally painted. I'm using Procreate to create them, but at the same time, really trying to capture everything that's going on in the story from where it picks up for the second issue. My first issue cover, if you check out Diamond's solicitations or keenspotshop.com, you'll see that where I took the first one was creating a hand coming up out of the water, which is one of my favorite scenes from the comic book itself. So I wanted to emulate that. With the second issue, I really wanted to capture the characters that are going on this adventure and kind of some of the things going on around them. So that's what we did there. So Chris Barrett says he'll probably be next to Vic Joseph. Well, I mean, you could yell in Vic Joseph's ear and he probably won't even recognize or realize that you're doing it, because, you know, that's what a good play-by-play guy does. But congratulations on scoring those seats. For those in Raleigh and the Raleigh market, I do want to go ahead and let everybody know that if they attempt to get Monday Night Raw tickets for, I believe it's March 18th, 16th, 18th, whatever that Monday Night Raw is that week of March, there are multiple pre-sale codes available to make it work. You can do WWE Mania, or you can do Raleigh as your pre-sale code to be able to get WWE tickets on that show. So that's not a paid sponsorship or anything else, but I did want to let everybody know that the tickets goes live tomorrow morning. So right now you have the opportunity to jump in, get those, and be good with all that. I'm going to log in on my phone to my Twitch page only because I want to see if anybody's been posting comments. So you'll have to forgive me. I'm turning off the sound, but I don't know if that means that I will get any feedback. So if I start getting feedback, let me know. And luckily, my co-host has joined during the What's Up With You segment. So, Tino.
Why is your camera black?
My camera's not black. Everyone has to let me know. Is my camera black? Because on even Twitch, I am moving very slowly, but I am on camera.
Yeah, I got a black square.
I don't.
What's up, Michael Turner?
So, Tino, I already went through the intro, everything else, and started with the What's Up With You. I let everybody know that Michael's or Matthew's team has made it to the playoffs.
No, they didn't.
I thought you said they did.
No, I said they had two. So they had to win. So they had 2 games Sunday, 2 games on Tuesday. They had to win all those to make it to the game Saturday. They lost the game on Friday, on Sunday. So they didn't make it to the playoffs. But they did play their game Tuesday. They won that one. They did all the stuff, and they're on their way back now. So they'll be back in about an hour. They left earlier today. So there you are. But yeah, so no, he didn't make it. But he wasn't disappointed though, because I mean, they still got to go. They went to SeaWorld. They did the I think it's like Mario Andretti go-kart racing thing down there. They still had a fucking blast, man. So
now I do want to go ahead and point out to all of those that heard me bitching and moaning about how Matthew had not smiled in any photos before, when they were taking the photos for his football team, there was a photo that had, it might have been a smirk, but it looked more like a smile than any photo that he has taken this year. So I did want to give praise on the fact that he did have a positive photo out there.
yeah. So he finally smiled. So yeah, I've been running around all day. Worked all day. Then I had the work function I had to be at tonight from 6 to 8. We're at the Drive Shack, and they were doing that. Haul butt here to do this. Like I said, they'll be here in about an hour, and then I got to be in the office tomorrow at 7:30. So I'm like,
Well, I'm going to be honest. I've been pulling up all of the results because I thought if this was just going to be a me talking for, a couple hours, it was going to be me pulling up all the results and actually going over what happened during the matches. But with you here,
you might still have pull up results. I don't remember.
Exactly. So I'm going to pull those back up, but it at least gives us the opportunity to have real conversation, because it's been over 2 weeks since you and I have been on the air. And but we talked about Matthew. What's up with you? Like, you've been a bachelor for the last 4 days.
Yeah, but like I said, it's been cool. It was cool the first couple of days, and then you get bored. So I'm like, all right. Then I went and saw the Marvels Friday, I think it was, and then Tuesday it was $5. So I went and saw Thanksgiving, which was fucking awesome. And and then I really did. I thought it was gonna be cheesy. I didn't think it was gonna be as good as it was, and it was good. That twist at the end got me. I kind of saw it coming. And I was like, nah, that can't be. And then it ended up being. And then tomorrow night, I am at First Street Tavern in Clayton. Think that's like 8 to 11. And then Saturday, I'm in Hickory. So.
And I was just explaining to everybody that Zor is now available to order for the first issue. Are you showing how good the beard's coming in?
No, I got it. I went to the barber and got it trimmed today.
Oh, you got it lined up.
So after you get the haircut, it itches. I don't want to stop itching. I gotta get in the shower and clean it. Michael Tino, the Marvels movie was good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Everybody, I've heard a lot of people didn't like it. I thought it was good.
I haven't heard anybody say they didn't like it. I've just said they didn't see it.
I've heard a lot of people saying, like, I've seen a lot of YouTube saying it sucked, and the Marvel movies or Marvel, it turned back Marvel. I'm like, I didn't think so. I thought it was a good movie.
All right, you know what I think that sentiment comes from?
What's that?
So there's a specific scene in the movie where they go to a specific planet, and I can totally see where the massively Marvel male audience, there's some alliteration for you, massively male Marvel audience, did not like that specific sequence. And I would assume that they're the same people that probably thought the Barbie movie sucked. What I thought was weird about it was that everything that the Barbie movie had in it, I felt like this movie had in it, except for no, I can't even say what I'm thinking because it leads to the after credit scene. But ideally, I felt like it was the first movie that just jumped into it, got where it needed to go. Uh, did it explain everything? No. Like, how long did it take you to realize what the villain's name was in that movie? Like 2/3 of the movie before you knew what the name was?
Oh, the chick? No, because they said it.
I uh, I don't remember it.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
And I don't even remember it now. That's what, but it's been, a month since I've seen the film. Uh but ideally, like, I thought that the film did everything that it needed to. Uh and anybody that didn't like it is really just one of those woke people, or non-woke people that just complains about wokeness when it wasn't really a woke movie. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson still had his moments. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, it 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 really didn't appeal to any, and here's where the fact is. It didn't appeal to anybody that hasn't watched the Marvel TV shows on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And that's where it negatively comes in.
Well, I think and I think if you didn't watch, you had to watch that one, and you had to watch
WandaVision.
WandaVision, because they
Yeah, so
reference they reference.
you had to be knowledgeable of the Marvel TV series to understand. Although Monica Rambeau does explain exactly how she got her powers. She
Yeah.
says, walked into a warp field or whatever, and walked through and suddenly had light powers. Boom, done. She had nailed it. Like, that's exactly how easy it has to be sometimes. But Tino, and we're not going to say what happens in it, but what did you think of that mid-credit scene?
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm excited. I'm excited. If it's what you and I talked about happens, that's gonna be awesome.
I will specifically say this as the only spoilery thing that I will say about it, and anybody
Ah,
Paramount Plus will should understand what I mean when I say the doctor was in. That's it. Okay. So yeah, so you saw that. Now, Thanksgiving, did we explain where that movie came from?
nah, do we have to?
Did you know where it came from?
The movie explained it pretty much, didn't it?
No, well, yes, but no. Like, you ever heard of the movie series or the movie thing Grindhouse from Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
It was like 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Well, that movie was based on the way that 70s double feature movies were, which was they had the grainy feed and everything else. And that's why you kept seeing, like if you ever watch Grindhouse, you'll see it with like the grainy feed and the cigarette burns and everything else happening throughout the films.
Okay.
What it was a double feature that came out like in, I don't know. I worked at GameStop at North Hills at the time, so probably 2010.
Okay.
And what it was Robert Rodriguez did a zombie-esque end of the world movie called Planet Terror, and Quentin Tarantino did a movie called Death Proof. And they decided to do this because they both love those old 70s movies where, like, for example, one of my favorite sets of it was Billy the Kid versus Dracula. And uh
That's a long ass movie. I'm sorry. I was
what,
looking at Brown House on Prime, because I've never seen it. I want to watch it. Fucking 3 hours and 11 minutes.
it's well, if it's the actual Grindhouse, Death Proof, and Planet Terror, it's two movies.
Yes, it's Groundhouse. Yeah, Death Proof and Planet Terror.
Okay. Now, this is why it's important that I'm explaining this, because after Planet Terror finished, they showed 3 trailers before they launched Death Proof. The trailers were a movie called Hobo with a Shotgun, which at that point was just literally a fake trailer. It has now been turned into a full movie. Okay. The second one was Machete, which they've not only done Machete with Danny Trejo, but they've done Machete Kills, the sequel. And the third one was Eli Roth's, take a guess,
Thanksgiving, really?
Thanksgiving.
Ah.
And I'll tell you what, just look up the original Grindhouse trailer for it, because the movie did completely change from what they like. The sequence where they're all sitting at the dinner table is kind of the same, but it's different actors and whatever else, because obviously we're 15 years in the future or whatever when he actually wanted to do it. But yeah, so and now, by the way, Thanksgiving has already been approved for a sequel.
Oh yeah.
So I think we're at the possibility of a new revolution where we get holiday inspired freak show style movies every year.
I'm
I
here
think
for it.
last year we had Violent Night with Dennis or David Harbour as Santa Claus, which still, I mean, I'm gonna watch it here in the next couple days because it's one of my favorite Christmas movies now. I've watched it 4 times already, not this year, but I watched it 4 times last year. But I think like now you're gonna start seeing where like at Easter time there's gonna be a horror film where somebody's dressed up as the Easter Bunny. I just think that we're at that spot now where people are like, oh, this is the thing to do,
They're running out of ideas. Instead
Yeah.
of making all the remakes.
Well, I mean, we had things like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
That was
You
dumb.
It's horrible. It's on Peacock, by the way, folks.
I've seen it. It was dumb.
It's horrible, but shit made money and it's streaming on Peacock and people are watching it, right? So like if you got a dumb, stupid movie idea for something like that, that's how you do it.
This Thanksgiving, new Halloween or Friday the 13th movie.
Well, I honestly, I mean, at this point, we, a couple of years ago, we had the 3 different Halloween movies. Friday the 13th, I think, because the guy who brought back Star Trek at Paramount, same guy that did the Hannibal TV series, is now doing something called Camp Crystal Lake at Peacock, which is a prequel series to Jason, where he's being Jason. So I mean, we're getting the stuff. It's just there's certain like with Friday the 13th, the rights are all over the place. Like nobody knows who owns the rights to it. So because of that, they're able to do like a prequel series because it's not Jason in the mask. So they're able to get away with it. But like Halloween, obviously, like Blumhouse has that. There's talk of a new Nightmare on Elm Street, but Robert Englund has now said he doesn't want to portray the character because he's in his 70s. I think
when they did the remake, he wasn't Freddy.
No, he wasn't, but he wasn't gonna be it in the remake. That by the way was Jackie Earle Haley, the same guy that played Rorschach in the Watchmen movie. So he should have been really good in that role, but the role sucked. Yeah. Because once again, Tino, I will say this on this. By the way, folks, we are rated M for mature, or TVMA, whatever you want to say. But Michael Bay has ruined our childhood with all of his remake bullshit. Because I mean, he remade the Ninja Turtles, they sucked. He remade Transformers, they sucked. He remade Friday the 13th, it sucked. He remade Nightmare on Elm Street, it sucked. He remade Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it sucked. He even went ahead and made another Bad Boys movie, and guess what? It wasn't so bad. But
I want to see what like a Rob Zombie does with a Friday the 13th or a Freddy Krueger.
No, because we already had him do Halloween. The first Halloween that he did was actually pretty good. The second Halloween he did was like, what the fuck are you smoking? So we're just going to leave that one alone too. The first one, by the way, I think if you actually were to somehow magically cut the footage in with the original Halloween, even though obviously it's different actors playing the characters or whatever. If someone actually knew who the characters were or whatever, if they were to magically cut all that together, I think that you would actually have a master cut of what Halloween really was about. I do really like Rob Zombie's first Halloween film. The second one was absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
It takes a certain kind of like we'll jump into pro wrestling right after this, unless you want to retort to it. But I've been on panels at horror shows and everything, and when I am, one of the things that always gets asked is, why do we sensationalize these horror character tropes? Like Jason or Michael or Freddy, and one of the things that I try to explain to people is, like, nowadays, if someone were to write a Jason Voorhees movie, Jason was socially inept. He was probably autistic, maybe even so far on the spectrum to where he really couldn't function with other human beings, right? So if all of these characters were to let him go to his own devices and he ended up dying, wouldn't whoever goes after revenge for what happened to him be made into a hero now?
Yeah.
And I try to explain that when I'm on these panels, and people are like, holy shit, like, what is, like that's crazy, because he's a psychopath. But Jason as the kid wasn't a psychopath. He just needed attention, right? Or is it like Law and Order SVU episode, because they've now done it where they had a 13-year-old kid who tried for adult murder, and they were like, we think he's a psychopath, so they put him into a place for kids, because the lawyer was able to plead it down or whatever. And then they did an episode like 8 years later where the same kid was the actor, and he's already killing again, and you're like, that kid really is a psychopath. So, like, but the way that they portrayed Jason, it wasn't Jason's fault. Jason became the killer initially, right?
Yeah.
It literally was all these people not paying attention to a kid that had special needs. And all they wanted to do was have sex and everything else. So those, like, it took all the tropes of everything that you hated or were supposed to dislike as an adult. Oh, kids wanting to have sex rather than watching the kids that they're in charge of, blah, blah, like all that stuff. Like, you kind of understand why Jason would kill all these people. Now, granted, when you get to Friday the 13th Part 2 and Jason's actually the murderer, it's not his mom murdering everybody. He's completely crazy, because now it's, he's a freaking adult sitting there slashing people with a mask on and whatever. And then by the time you get to Jason X, they're like pulling out his eyeball, and it's like just a half socket, like, nub or whatever. And they're like, oh, you poor baby. And it's because, like, they don't realize, like, all the shit that this dude has done, right? So anyways, I digress. We can jump into the pro wrestling side, but it is interesting when I say that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Same, like Freddie and Michael. Freddie's a bit different, because Freddie always, Robert Englund specifically, brought something to that character that made it funny to do the killings. Maybe not in the first one, but by the time he got to the second one, he was like, I'm your boyfriend now, and it started getting a little bit weirder and started getting a little bit crazier. And then by the third one, he started doing things where, like, he was pretending to be the nurse in the insane asylum. And then all of a sudden, like, there was one where he, the kid was deaf, so he sat there and became the earpiece that went in, and all of a sudden started, like, licking in the ear, and he got creepier and creepier, but it was funny as well. So, like, the murders were, like, nasty, but you were still sitting there going, damn, because I guess the reason why I was okay with that was it really didn't feel like it had any place in the real world.
Yeah.
And Michael Myers, the last film of the second one of the 3 Halloween films kind of made me think everybody in that town's just stupid. like they're gonna beat the shit out of him and they're not gonna cut his head off. What the fuck? What's up, Mr. Helios? So Tino, we ready to do this?
Yeah.
All right, where should we just start with the big one?
Yes.
All right, go ahead. I'm leaving it on you.
I don't remember. I don't think I remember is I guess
No. What?
the pay-per-view.
We've been away for 3 weeks. What happened the first week we were gone?
Bitch, you know how much wrestling happens in 3 goddamn weeks? You want me to remember everything? The main thing I remember is I want to start with the pay-per-view, obviously. Okay. I want to start with the what was it? The
we don't have to go over all.
Oh, it was War Games. It was War Games.
Right.
I don't want to jump to the end because that's what everybody expects. I want to talk about I do want to talk about the women's match. I do want to talk about Zoe Stark and Rhea Ripley.
Okay.
I did not expect Zoe Stark to get as close as she did to winning that title. Because I thought it was going to, I honestly thought it was going to be a squash. I thought Rhea was going to go out there. Now, I expected Zoe to get some offense, right?
Right.
But I didn't expect Rhea to let her get as much as she did.
Sure.
So that was my thought on that one. The women's match.
You're talking about the
War Games match.
Okay.
Obviously, Becky and Charlotte hugging. That was da. The craziest part is when Io took the trash can on the top of the cage.
And Oscar the Grouch.
Huh?
Oscar the Grouch.
Yeah, she put the can on her, and the whole time I'm thinking, what if she would have fell backwards? What if she'd have fell backwards off that cage?
I didn't think about that, but wow.
Seriously, man, every time they climbed on the top of that cage and did anything, I'm like, okay, that's stupid. She put a trash can over her head. That could have gone wrong in so many ways. Why did they allow her to do that? I understand, and now I'm getting to the serious part of these War Games matches. I understand that we're trying to entertain, but when you get on top of a cage and put that on your head and block all vision, all sensory, because even though you think you're standing on a cage, what happens is you actually get turned around. You don't know which way you're facing.
It's true.
That's dangerous. There's a point to, yes, I think I understand you're trying to entertain, but it's too much. It's too much.
Do you think that kind of like a talk show or something else, maybe like a Saturday Night Live, they actually put like spots, like tape spots on the cage so that while she's in that, she can look directly down and see it pointing the direction she's supposed to jump?
Yeah. But even still though, you know how if you're standing somewhere and you go and you feel like you're going to lose your balance, what's the first thing you're going to do? Right? You can put your arms out to try to balance yourself. She had a trash can. So even if she'd have tripped, she couldn't have balanced herself.
No, I see what you're saying. I do think they probably practice that spot, maybe even with like some sort of like pit next to where they were practicing it. Typically when they do one of those spots, the first thing they do is they make sure they're in the corner of it so that the wrestler always has like that bar to grab on, like the
She couldn't grab the bar up. She had the trash can.
I'm with you.
That made my stomach. You know when your stomach gets that feeling because I'm scared of heights. So if I get too high up, I get the whole my stomach's like blah, blah, blah. I had
Yep.
that feeling, and I'm sitting on my couch watching the show. I had that
Yep.
feeling for her. I'm like, oh my god.
Michael Turner even says the War Games women's match was wild. I completely agree. It was nice. For your first statement there, was nice to see Becky and Charlotte finally like come together. Interestingly enough, the aftermath where they were both on the talking panel afterwards, the media thing, that Becky was highly complimentary of Charlotte, and Charlotte actually was like, "Oh, thank you, oh, it's so nice," you know,
So
like.
do you think they made up before that? Because I think because there was real beef. So do you think they were already cool before that, and that was work what they did, in the ring and at the panel afterwards? Because they obviously, I'm sure, made up before that. You know what I mean?
Well, okay, let's. It's kind of hard to do this quickly, so I'll try to do it
Yeah.
as quick as possible. But when you think about like the history of the two of them, obviously they came up at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte was always looked at as the premier
Mm-hmm.
of that, right? Like she was always going to be the Flair of their horsewomen, right?
Yeah.
And I say that not because her last name is Flair, but because she looks the part.
Well,
Of,
because she is, she is a Flair. You know what I'm saying? She's got that.
yeah, but she came in with more talent than any of those other women.
And again, I think that's, I don't want to say genetics, but I think, what I'm saying, I think it came natural to her.
I think it was her gymnastic background, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because she was a D1 athlete
Yeah.
and everything. From there, though, I think when Becky got punched in the nose,
That's when everything started.
And I think that's the moment where Charlotte was like, "What the fuck is this bitch doing? Take it, get it, going Stone Cold Steve Austin to the moon in terms of her popularity when I'm supposed to be facing Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania." And before you knew it, it wasn't Charlotte versus Ronda.
In a triple threat?
Well, it was.
became...
But if you remember, even how the buildup happened it was originally going to be Charlotte versus Ronda, and then all of a sudden, when all that stuff happened to Becky, it was supposed to be Becky versus Ronda at Survivor Series, and Charlotte took her place. Charlotte ended up beat.
I thought with three of them, that's when she became Becky two belts.
Well, hold on. It was a whole buildup.
Okay.
Becky, right after like SummerSlam, got her nose broke, or right before Survivor Series, because she was supposed to face Ronda at Survivor Series because Vince wasn't buying into people getting behind Becky. Right. Then they did that whole SmackDown and Raw beatdown at the end of one of the Monday Night Raws where Nia Jax broke Becky's nose.
Yes.
Gave her a concussion. That following SmackDown, Becky showed up with her nose all like taped up and everything. It was like, "I'm not allowed to fight, but I'm gonna fight. I don't care who I fight." And they're like, "Becky, you're not allowed to fight." Blah blah blah. Then as it got closer to that Survivor Series, it was supposed to be Becky versus Ronda because it was a Raw versus SmackDown person. Becky was on SmackDown. Mm-hmm. Ronda was on Raw, and Becky had to turn the spot over, gave it to Charlotte. And if you remember, when Charlotte went up against Ronda Rousey, Charlotte looked like she was going to win the match and then grabbed the chair and just started beating the shit out of her for no fucking reason. Caused the disqualification. Ronda got the win. Charlotte was pissed off. We get to Royal Rumble time. Becky's not even in the Royal Rumble because she's the SmackDown Women's Champion. She ends up losing the SmackDown Women's Championship, goes into the Royal Rumble, wins the Royal Rumble, and she says, "I want Ronda Rousey." Yeah, and then somewhere in that March time frame, Vince McMahon went, "Oh, I got a wild hair up my ass. We're going to make this a triple threat. Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch. And then she's like, and he did this on live TV, said, I'm putting Charlotte in that match. There was no storyline. There was no reason for it. He just said, fuck it. I'm Vince McMahon. This is my company. Even though a couple months ago we told you all, we're going to do everything that you want.
I'm going to do what I want to do.
He's like, this is what I fucking want. And Becky went in there with no championship, and Becky took home both belts.
Yes.
So there you go. I think that's where all the animosity came from. I think one side was sitting there going, I've earned this spot. The other person was saying, I've already earned this spot. Why does she get it? Why does she get it? And you know how that works out, Tino.
Yeah.
Because this. But in the WWE, it becomes people jumping off of steel cages and trash cans. So I do think that Triple H, when he took over, probably sat them both down and said, what the fuck is up with the two of you? Maybe it happened before that, maybe not. But they're both married. Becky's got a kid. Charlotte probably wants kids. Like, they were best friends at one point. The business got between them. So obviously, Triple H, when he took over, said, Charlotte's going to SmackDown, Becky's going to be on Raw, and we're just going to let them both be the top females on their respective divisions, even if they're not the champion, right?
Yeah.
And they are. So now, this is one of the reasons why that whole brand split is a good thing. Like, people always talk about how it's so bad because you don't get Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins every week or whatever. The fact is, you get multiple people becoming main eventers, and you can trade them on different shows from time to time and make everybody go, holy shit, the whole program just became better.
Well, now you do. Because remember, we had this conversation about they were cycling the same people in the main event scene. Now you're getting different people getting opportunities. And I think that's Triple H.
Totally is. I do think, however, come Royal Rumble time, you're going to start seeing a couple people sit there and say, I want this guy from the other show. And I think you're going to start seeing, very similar to how you used to get like Kurt Angle versus HBK or something like that, where you get a couple crisscross matches just because they add some flavor and je ne sais quoi to the whole thing, right? Not saying you'll get a lot of them, but I am saying you might get a top tag team on both. You might get an LA Knight versus Damian Priest for the Money in the Bank or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I could see something like that happening. Not saying it is going to, just saying you could see it.
Get to that the men's match, because we got a lot to go through.
Yes, we do, and we can get through this pretty quick.
The RK, I see somebody, Michael Turner, saying, how the hell can you RKO a man when he is tossed off the top of the cage? Well, it's been done before. He's RKO people out of midair before. That was a super RKO, and I think they just did it because he hadn't been there in a while.
What I will say about this, first of all, let's talk about the biggest return of the night, R-Truth. I think we could all agree that R-Truth coming back at Survivor Series was the biggest return of the night. Everybody was ecstatic about him. Everybody was loving the fact that R-Truth came back. But when Randy Orton came out, there was a lot of speculation. You even said it on our show, Tino, that you had heard that Randy Orton was going to start using the punt kick as his finishing maneuver. And since he's been back,
he's hit that RKO. And every
he
time
dropped like 5 RKOs.
And every time he hits it, I'm like, oh, he's gonna fuck his back. Oh, he's gonna fuck his back up. But it's kind of like them still letting Daniel Bryan do the diving headbutt.
No.
Yes, he just had fucking back stabilization.
Dude, he was gone for 18 months. At this point, he probably has done the same thing that Karrion Kross did when he blew out and like had to remove a muscle from his shoulder. Because, you know, that dude can sit there and press like 500 pounds, and he's missing a muscle that you need to be able to do that. And it's because he's trained all the other muscles to be able to do it. When it comes to the RKO, I think you are going to see more, like even that one, I think was a pretty safe RKO.
And I'm hoping he uses them sparingly. You know what I'm saying? I'm hoping that he uses them for big matches.
I think Randy is going to do Randy, and I think what that means is that first of all, I think we're going to see a lot less of Randy. I don't think he's going to be an every week player. I don't think he needs to be an every week player. The guy's 45 years old, like me.
Looks great.
What's that?
Looks great. He looks bigger than ever.
Dude, he's huge. Huge.
He took time off. You could tell he was working out.
Well,
he didn't eat a carb while he was going.
Well, no, he ate some carbs because he filled out, but he's got the abs and everything else. So remember, the abs are underneath whatever else is over that. So that definition and everything with all that filled outness. But I think that if you notice where he really filled out was in the midsection and upper body, right? So when you think about what he was doing was he was probably putting muscle on top of all of those fused discs. So his body now is a giant pillow around those areas. And again, I do believe when he's on SmackDown and he's beating people from time to time, he's going to drop them with the punt kick. But it's Randy being Randy, man. And you heard him. Like, can we just, for a second, talk about when he showed up on Monday Night Raw and he looked like he was getting ready to go up on those ropes, and he sat there and he said, he literally looked at the camera and said, "Give me a second. It's been a while since I've done this. Let me just absorb this." And I was like, that motherfucker's enjoying what he's doing right now. He's becoming the new John Cena.
Oh, he came out. He was, slapping high fives, smiling, taking pictures, signing the autographs. Oh yeah,
dude. If he wants to be heel, it's gonna be hard to turn him heel at this point in his career. Like at this point, I think we've gotten to the point where he's the Kurt Angle, "You suck," and we say it as a term of endearment. And forever now, Kurt Angle can't be a heel. You know what I mean?
And John Cena sucks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, and John Cena at this point, people don't even say John Cena sucks, and he's like, I'm missing half my chant. What's going on here? You know, like, because it's let's go Cena. Cena sucks, and he's not getting the Cena sucks part anymore. He's getting the let's go Cena, and he's sitting there going, where's the other half? Like, but with Randy, I think he's now entered that part, and I think the WWE audience, if he's not overexposed, is going to continue to appreciate that the same way that they appreciate all of the legends. Like he's gone from legend killer to legend at this point. And he is a 14-time WWE champion. So there is a possibility that he could still be the one to break the record. And if anybody could do it, I see it being him because he went from being Triple H's protege to now being the Triple H, right? So but the fact that he's enjoying it,
yeah,
is something that I don't think we've ever actually seen that much charisma come out of Randy Orton, and partly because his character was also always supposed to be a viper, which is very similar to a rattlesnake, which is why Stone Cold, until Stone Cold went heel, you never really saw Stone Cold sit there and do anything like that either. You know what I mean? So, anyways,
so when you get that RKO, the Super RKO, they win. They did the whole psych out because I watched to the end of the pay-per-view because I knew they were in Chicago and they were going to do it. I knew something was going to go down, and they did the little at the bottom, the copyright like it's going off the air, and all of a sudden, I was like, and he took forever to come out. You're gonna get us fucking sued, dude. Cut it off. It took him forever. It took him forever to come out, and then he just stood there and soaked it in. And it's like,
what was up with the dude that he walked up to and was giving him a hug? He's like, Chicago! It's like, nobody cares.
we know where you are, dude. I'm glad you know where you are, dude.
It could have been Muskogee. Like nobody cared.
It was funny.
But that is a callback to classic Triple H booking. Like we didn't get to see any of the other stuff because they wanted to keep all those videos for Monday night. But that was classic Triple H booking from his NXT days. Because remember when Tommaso Ciampa turned on Johnny Gargano? It was he's holding Johnny Gargano's hand up. That little snicker comes up in the bottom corner, and he just sits there and just throws him right into the light board, and you're like, what the fuck?
And they did it with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn too.
They did. And again, it's like that is Triple H's best way of saying you never know what to expect. Like that's why every time that little thing comes up, we're always sitting there going, is Seth going to lose his title? And it's like, no, you motherfuckers, you didn't take it off. Really? Come on. Like we're waiting for it. And they finally did it there. 71 million views on social media, Tino. Let me ask you specifically right now, is CM Punk the last big draw in professional wrestling?
The last big draw?
Like the last Rock, the last Austin, the last one who's going to wrestle. Like right now, is he right now, I say he's the last one. Obviously, if Rock comes back for an extended run, he'll be the last one. But like 71 million views on social, the most viewed WWE video of all time. Beating, I think, the Jade Cargill one by 50 million views. Like,
I don't know. You think if MJF comes over?
I don't. So I think what it is, it all goes because even how they
when AJ Lee comes back,
Michael Turner saying Rock at WrestleMania 40, but CM Punk coming back to the WWE after trashing the company, after the company trashing him, after everything that happened, everything that went on. This was worse than the Ultimate Warrior thing. Like the WWE put out a video that people could buy of the Ultimate Warrior and trashing him, right? But they brought him back. This was something where it really was, and his first line on Monday Night Raw, I guess hell's frozen over, right? Like, but it all goes back to even when he showed up on AEW. What was the first thing I told you when we talked about that here on the Potsy and Tino show? I said that because he gets to be CM Punk, because he gets to have his logo and everything else up there, and he gets to have his theme music, he's the same guy, right? WWE, if you notice, isn't even contemplating his time with AEW. He didn't have a scorched earth moment where he got to sit there and just like talk shit about Tony Khan. Now, one of the reasons behind that is there's legalities behind it, and he can't. But he didn't say anything. He literally just talked about how it's been 10 years since he's been in the WWE. And reminder to that, if you noticed, he called back to the pipe bomb in that promo when he sat there and he said, in this ring, on this microphone, and yes, even on commentary. Like he went back to certain different promos. He called out, talked about the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, talked human. But did you just see that?
Yeah, you blipped out for a second and you came
Yeah,
back.
so did you. So I don't know what happened. Hopefully we didn't lose connection. But let me ask you now. I'm going to put this on the Monday Night Raw thing. I don't think we really need to go through what else happened during all that stuff. We can talk about this week's Raw and whatever. But they went
I
three.
think I do want to talk about something that it made me pop. I got a big kick out of when Randy Orton was in the ring with Rhea Ripley. And he's like, I've been at home watching, and it's mommy this and mommy that. Well, guess what? Daddy's home. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh fuck. And he said the same thing on Friday on SmackDown.
Well, he
He
said
said, you
Daddy.
tell Roman Daddy's back. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering what kind of t-shirt they're gonna have now.
I don't even want to get started on t-shirts. I posted something on our Facebook group. but I might go into that at the end because it's about an AEW shirt specifically. But I also mentioned the Monday Night Mommy shirt and how it would never be a shirt that I would buy or wear, which means it limits the audience that can buy it. But anyways, CM Punk comes out Monday Night Raw. They cut his time based on what everybody's saying because the Randy Orton versus Dominic Mysterio, which was a great match, by the way. So Dominic really is solidifying himself as a main event player.
Randy praised him. Randy's like, I'm so proud of Dominic. He's come. Yeah, Randy praised him.
And I think when Randy probably got asked, who do you want to work with? Since this is probably your last night on Monday Night Raw, and he was like, give me Dominic. You know, like he could have worked with Finn, he could have worked with Damian Priest, he could have worked with JD McDonough, whatever. But I think he asked specifically for Dominic, and that's one of those legacy matches, right? Because it's Cowboy Bob Orton and you know, obviously Rey Mysterio and even Rey's uncle, the original Rey Mysterio. So, or Eddie Guerrero or anybody else. You know, I mean that family's almost like the Samoans. There's so many lineages in there. But CM Punk comes out, like I said, time got cut. Comes out, has 9 minutes to cut his promo. Sits there and drops a promo that sits there and says he's glad to be back. He's telling everybody, hey, my wife is great, she's gorgeous, and she's lovely, and she misses all of you. I don't think that means anything that she's coming back, but you know, like it's great to hear that she misses the WWE audience. I wouldn't mind seeing Seth and Becky versus CM Punk and AJ Lee, but then you know someone's got to be a heel.
And I think it's going to be CM Punk because did you catch the very, very end of his promo?
I did, but that promo line doesn't mean that he's doing that. So folks, what Tino's talking about specifically is the line where he said, I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money. And when you say I'm here to make money in a WWE corporate sense, it specifically means you're there to make the company money. You're there to draw a buy rate. You're there to make the numbers go up. You're there to and yes, part of it is to get it for yourself too. Get that bread, right? But what I took it as, and since it's been said, at this point, now what I've really started taking it as is this, Tino. He's there to be part of the team. And a prime example of that is old school CM Punk would have gone livid if his time had been cut. And his very first night back, his time got cut by 3 minutes, which probably meant there was 3 minutes of him actually talking to the crowd that got cut out. And he just went out there and did the job. We're really going to see, and this is where the discussion piece comes in, and I really want your opinion. A lot of people already say that Seth Rollins is his first opponent. Very well could be. Cody Rhodes, when he came back, first opponent was Seth Rollins. A lot of people are saying that it's going to be for the WWE Championship. I cannot under any circumstance. So I'm saying 99% because I will give that 1% spot there. 99% that I cannot see CM Punk taking that title from Seth Rollins because he hasn't proved himself to be that team player yet.
I don't think that he will win. I think they're going to put him against Seth for that title. I don't, not necessarily that he'll win it. You're right. I don't think he will win it on the first try. And I honestly think if they want to, because Judgment Day is already hot.
They're cooling off, though.
I
They're
think,
cooling off.
and if Damian cashes in and CM Punk and Damian fight for that title, because Seth doesn't need it. Seth doesn't need a belt right now.
Well, you're right.
CM Punk doesn't need it either, but it'll make it more, that belt more, you know what I'm saying?
As long as he's still getting those millions upon millions of views, sure. But if all of a sudden they realize that after that first week it just cools off,
yeah.
Because a lot of people were probably thinking his first appearance on Monday Night Raw, he was going to come out and talk trash about AEW. And WWE just doesn't look at AEW as competition, so that's just not going to be the case. Like, it's not. You're talking about a company that makes billions of dollars versus a company that's owned by a billionaire. There's a difference.
I meant to send you something, but I know you don't get the smart news thing I have, or somewhere it was like AEW. There, what was it? They were up 62% or something in their earnings.
So, and that's great. I tend to think that that's because, I mean, they did add a 2-hour program, which means that they're going to have a certain amount more of television revenue coming in, right?
Again, and we know, like, again, I can't express enough how I know you're down AEW, but AEW
no.
been around 4 years. WWE's been around 100. So I mean, they're not going to come out the chute. They've got to start somewhere. The point is they're gaining traction.
So I read the information, right? The 62% up in revenue is because they added 40% more programming.
Okay.
They also added how many more pay-per-views this year, including their biggest one of all time, right? So, yes, they're doing good business in certain areas. However, and I'm not sitting here being an AEW hater. I'm going by the numbers, man.
But it's still a learning curve. They're only been around not even 5 years. You know what I mean? I'm sure WWE, when it was WWF, was 5 years old, wasn't making billions and doing what it's doing now. I guess is the point I'm trying to get you to understand.
No. You think I don't understand? I'm going to go ahead and read you. I got to find it, but I'm going to read you a statement that I actually wrote earlier today that shows exactly how much I do understand this situation. Okay. So I wrote, where is it? Do we think this comes from Tony booking 3 shows weekly, as well as and this is about the really awkward and sometimes lackluster booking, as well as bad production values on AEW programs that were posted by somebody else, not me. Okay. Do we think this comes from Tony booking 3 shows weekly, as well as typically asking everyone for their input rather than a structured plan? Even Hunter has years of shadowing Vince before NXT and then years there before getting the overall book. So, understanding that Tony Khan is 5 years into the business after 35 years of being a fan, I think that what you're seeing, the revenue has increased because he's increased almost doubling the amount of pay-per-views that he's had, which means they're going to double the revenue there because the people that buy their pay-per-views always buy their pay-per-views, right? Okay. So you agree with that?
Okay.
Okay. They also added the network television rights to Collision, which TNT specifically made them sign up for. So they got money to do that. And it was at the behest of TNT, not because Tony Khan necessarily wanted a second program.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Everything I've said is what you've heard.
Yes.
Okay. So there's more money coming in there. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I get that there's more money coming. That's great. The problem is that their overall audience has not increased. They are still catering to the exact same people that bought into them when Cody and the Elite started this company. Unfortunately, I think what's happening now with AEW is that people are tiring of the antics of the Elite. Not necessarily Kenny, not necessarily Hangman, because everything Hangman's doing right now, I think, is great for business. I think, and you know what? I hope to God somebody from the wrestling group is hearing me say this, because Hangman is killing it right now. His promo against MJF the other night was one of the best things he's ever cut, and I applaud him highly for it. Kenny Omega, I think that he's doing everything he can behind the scenes to help AEW video games make their way to actually getting back from that debacle that was the game that they
Fight Forever.
Yes, because I'll tell you, I got the disc right there, and I'm like, why does the GameStop website not show me what I can trade that shit in for? Okay.
Yeah, I need to get rid of mine too.
I need to put it in order for W2K24. That's what I need to do. But anyways,
is that out yet?
No. 2K24 will be out well, it hasn't even technically been announced, but I would assume WrestleMania time again. So I want, and so even Kenny Omega, I sit there and I feel like he's taken a step back from being in that spotlight in AEW so that he can actually do things behind the scenes as an EVP would. You and I both have very specific problems with two other EVPs in AEW who only look out for themselves.
The young fucks.
And always have. The problem you run into because of this is because they don't have the best interests of the other people in mind. As soon as they're in Tony Khan's ear, Tony's like, yeah, just go do whatever you want. And suddenly you have a fucked up tag team situation. Then you have the tag team titles, which are completely out of the purview of someone like the Young Fucks for a while. And then the Young Fucks come in and they're able to go after the tag titles. Now, granted, Chris Jericho's going to win the tag titles before his career's over just because it's going to add another title to his thing. I get it. It's also going to lead to Chris Jericho's probably retirement match against Kenny Omega. I'm cool with all that. It makes sense, right? Which, when it makes sense, it makes dollars. A lot of the stuff that AEW is doing right now, like Jay Lethal having 0 points in the Continental Classic. You know what? Jay Lethal having 0 points in the Continental Classic is a travesty.
I was upset that they didn't let. I know Briscoe's not going to win, but let the man get on the board. Let the man get on the board. I was so pissed off. Let the man get on the board.
You know what's going to happen with them is they're both probably going to end up with 1 point by having a draw against somebody. And you know, I actually pulled up the Continental Classic thing here. Hold on. Where is it? I thought I did. Pardon me.
So right now we got it's Swerve and Moxley both have 9 points. So they're in the lead right now.
Oh, you got it pulled up?
No, I'm off memory. I know those two because
Yes, they have 9 points. I did have it pulled up, but it's gone now. I don't know what happened. I'll pull it up again.
I'm pretty sure Daniel
you know
Bryan.
what? I think I pulled it up on my other device.
Daniel Bryan will probably get 9 points too. They'll probably be,
So as of right now in the Gold League, John Moxley and Swerve Strickland, who face off next week, have 9 points each. Jay White has 6, coming off 2 straight victories after losing his first match, after losing the match against MJF, which I felt was burying him. Roosh has 1 win, and then you have both Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe with 0 wins. So Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe are probably going to tie each other. Then on the other side, you have Brody King with 6 points, Andrade El Idolo with 3, Bryan Danielson with 3. Bryan Danielson has a match on Friday and Saturday.
Yes, which will bring him to 9.
I mean, I don't know who he's facing, but yeah, ideally. Claudio Castagnoli has 3 points, and then you have Daniel Garcia and Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston, who put his 2 championships up in this.
Let him get on the board too. What the fuck? I know he's not going to win. Let him get on the board. The bitch put both his titles up, and he's probably about to get washed out of this tournament too.
I mean, here's what pisses me off. Why put them in if they're just going to job? Like, why? It's terrible.
Yes.
It's horrible. Like, it makes no sense. And for Tony Khan to sit there and backstage tell Eddie Kingston, hey, Eddie, here's the deal. I want you to put both of your titles, including that New Japan title that you have, on the line because we're going to create a brand new continental champion here. Eddie Kingston's probably sitting there going, someone get me some cake. I can't deal with this shit. Why do I have to give up my championships? Why not make Orange Cassidy give up his fucking championship? You know, why not take that Samoa Joe championship that was sitting on the floor and put that in the damn thing? Like, seriously, I could only imagine how Eddie Kingston felt about that. And then for him to go, oh, and by the way, Eddie, you're going to go 0-2 to start the competition. Like,
yeah.
Like, I do want to point out.
I think I'm calling it now. I think this is Swerve's to win.
But you mean Swerve's to lose?
No.
No. When I say that, that's what you say when he is the front runner expected to win. Because I agree with you.
To win. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's his to lose. Okay. It's his to go up against somebody, and then for whatever reason he pisses somebody off backstage, and then he gets told you're not going over. It's his to lose. Danielson has proven at this point, I'll put anybody over. I don't give a fuck. You know? Eddie Kingston, obviously, is just sitting there going, I'm just glad I have a contract. Thank you. Thank you for giving me that Ring of Honor World Championship that doesn't mean shit now. Thank you. After Claudio and him tried to make that thing mean something again. Like, thank you for that. Jay Lethal, literally 0-3. Mark Briscoe 0-3. Now, Mark Briscoe, we love him. We love him. He's a hell of a guy. He's a great father to his kids. He's a chicken farmer. He's a great fucking dude.
You're going to hell.
I'm not saying anything that I don't mean.
He's a chicken farmer. You don't have to put that in there.
Dude, he's great at it.
Okay.
They make a lot of fucking money in West Virginia on those chickens. I'm not fucking around. I really mean that. Okay, this isn't a joke. Like they are very proud of their chicken farming. God, now you make me want to make it a joke, and I don't want to make it a joke. It's not a joke. But unfortunately, this was bound to happen to Mark Briscoe. It was bound to happen to him.
Yeah.
He literally is in the same spot as Daniel Garcia, except Mark Briscoe's 0-3, and Daniel Garcia is 0-2.
Yeah.
Daniel Garcia is looked at as the next level of talent, but for whatever reason, Wheeler Yuta is put above him. And actually, I think the one that has more charisma is Daniel Garcia. I don't care for this whole thing, but whatever. He thinks it works. Let him make it work.
People like it.
Nobody likes it.
No, they do.
No, they like Prince Nana.
No, they like when he does his dance, because when he was going to do it and they stopped him from doing it, they booed. And when he does it, they cheer. No, that dance is getting over. As dumb as it is, as it's getting over.
Do you want to know why it's getting over? I'll give a little secret here. Kevin Cuff, who's another comic book writer who's in the Facebook group, pointed out that he thinks what AEW needs is more writers helping develop the storylines to extend what AEW does on a weekly basis, which is just put two guys in a ring and make them fight, which might have worked back in the 1800s. But we all know that at this point, you kind of have to have some reason that the two of those guys want to fight, right? That's why Swerve versus Hangman is such a compelling story. That's why we still care about this devil, even though at this point, they're fucking dragging it out.
Now you got it. MJF knocked out in the back now. Now you're like, is it fucking MJF? you're like, what the fuck?
So I want to go ahead and point out that there's like Terrence can tell you this. We wrote in a notebook about 2 months ago who we thought this devil was going to be.
I got a new one for you. Dolph Ziggler.
It's a good choice. Because obviously
after that fucking Hangman promo the other night, like, fuck, could it be Hangman?
Well, and that's what we like to call in an old detective novel a red herring, right? However, you know who's been hanging out backstage recently?
Wardlow.
Well, Wardlow's been on camera too. But you know who's been backstage that hasn't been on camera yet in a while?
O'Reilly?
Kyle O'Reilly. And who has ties to Roddy Strong, Adam Cole, and has a reason to hate MJF?
But why would O'Reilly hate MJF? I'm trying to remember what beef he had with MJF.
Well, because he's friends with Roddy Strong.
Okay.
Like, if nothing else, that's the simplest of terms.
Okay.
You upset my friend, I'm going to upset you.
Okay.
You took our best friend away from us, I'm gonna take you down. Now, granted, there's no timetable on O'Reilly's return, but he's been spending time backstage. And by the way, I loved the beginning of the Roddy Strong Adam thing, but this week when he just kept yelling, "Renee, shut the fuck up,
Samoa Joe," I'm like, you're so fucking stupid. Stop.
Yeah, if you want to make it a Tourette's thing, like Goldust did, I'd probably laugh my ass off. But the fact that you're just screaming out a name, shut up. Get off my TV.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And then Sky Blue and Tony Storm. I think my favorite part of that match is when Tony Storm went to the apron and got on Luther's shoulders and then kicked the shit out of Sky Blue on the apron.
So I want to bring up something. Now, we've talked in the past about how there's almost like two women's divisions in AEW.
Right.
There's a TBS division, and then there's the Women's World Championship division.
Yes.
Sky Blue seems to have made the transition over. However, how in any world is this perceivable that you would lose a match for the TBS championship, which is the lower level belt, and then be granted a world championship match.
The booking's stupid, but I think they're trying to push Sky Blue in the main event scene.
I don't know if it's main event scene, but I do think it's upper women's card, because unfortunately at this point the women rarely get to be main event anymore.
When I say main event in the women's main event scene, I guess is what I meant. The women's.
Sure. Well, and that's why I said that top line women, you know, and I agree with you. She's really outperformed where she was. She's obviously not a Cora Jade copycat anymore. In fact, Cora Jade's not even a Cora Jade copycat anymore. Cora Jade has enhanced herself in WWE without even being on programming. But Sky Blue, and you know what? Tino, we should probably talk about whether or not we're going to have a year-end awards, because I'm going to say right now, while I really think Sky Blue has enhanced her level of talent where she's at, I feel that she's second in the AEW women's division behind one Julia Hart.
Yes.
Who has gone from I was a cheerleader in college to holy shit, I'm main eventing in the women's division of AEW.
She's fucking what? Oh fuck, I can't think of her name now in NXT. That was a champion. She went from Raw, head of Toxic Attraction.
Mandy Rose.
She's Mandy Rose.
I wouldn't say she's Mandy Rose. I would definitely say that she's up there with like a Roxanne Perez though. But interestingly enough, here's where I find it really interesting is if you watched the last AEW pay-per-view, the women's world title match went on before Julia Hart winning that match. And by the way, both switched hands, so it wasn't just because there was a title change happening.
Oh yeah.
So think about that. The storyline and everything that made more sense and more apropos to be later on in the card was the TBS Women's Championship. And Toni Storm winning her third AEW Women's Championship was very early in the show.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. Also, I think, a lot of people think that Toni Storm's going to hold that belt until like Jamie Hayter comes back. I think personally, Toni Storm's going to hold that belt till one Thunder Rosa comes back.
If she comes back, because I thought Thunder Rosa was coming back, but I thought she'd be a Collision.
It won't matter. Yeah. That doesn't matter anymore. Speaking of Collision, real quick. Remember the first night that CM Punk was no longer the first Collision that CM Punk was no longer employed by AEW, and the Young Bucks actually ran around like with their arms up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice CM Punk did that on his first Monday Night Raw?
Mm-hmm.
And who do you think's making more money right now?
Oh, CM Punk.
See, I want to talk a little bit more about him. Can we?
Yeah, because I think I've covered everything. The big spots I wanted to hit.
Okay, so I'm just going to put this on WWE right here. So specifically, I want to start with when Triple H was at the media conference after Survivor Series, and he said, I know you guys want to talk about it, so let's go ahead and talk about like the big return. R-Truth is back. Could anybody be happier? Like, this is amazing. R-Truth is back. But then he said, so let's go ahead and take some questions, because I know you guys are just going to ask the questions. So go ahead. They're like, well, when did the CM Punk thing come up? And here's where I want to know whether or not you think it's real or whether or not you think it was fabricated. Obviously, there's rumors that CM Punk actually tried to get back with the WWE before he signed with AEW. Then there's also when he first got suspended that he actually started talking to WWE to try to get with them. And then finally here now he signed. Triple H specifically said all that speculation and everything that everybody heard was just that. None of this came into play until this week when I had an hour-long phone conversation with him. And then after that hour-long phone conversation, the paperwork got signed today. The reason why I ask you this is because specifically, Phil wasn't wearing WWE CM Punk merchandise that night.
White t-shirt, blue jeans.
Same thing as Brian Danielson, when he signed with AEW the night that he showed up on their pay-per-view. So, and Brian Danielson continued to do that for like another 2 months. But I think that's because he was like, we're going green. We're not putting any print on the shirts. Like, but because of that, I have real belief, and this is just my own personal like feelings on this, and not proven in any way, shape, or form, that Brooks was not signed before that weekend. And even though there's talk that all of the wrestlers knew that he was going to come out at the end of the night, at least those guys in the ring knew that. Obviously, Randy Orton did, if you saw the video of him just grabbing a chair and sitting down and watching and waving. But ideally, I have to believe that all that talk and rumors and speculation and everything else really was just rumors and speculation at that point.
Yeah. And I honestly don't think that I almost want to say, I don't think he was signed that night. You know what I'm saying? Sunday. I don't even know if he was signed then.
Oh, he was signed by then. They weren't going to have him come out on TV without at least a handshake deal and something signed. You know, like it could have been a one appearance with, you know, hey, we need to work out the rest of the details. But let's be real. WWE is not going to have somebody come out on their TV unless they're in the audience and they show them.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, that's going to be like, oh, look, it's the guy from the Denver Nuggets. You know, it's not going to be
right.
It's not going to be this guy's part of an ongoing storyline. When it came to Punk, the fact that he didn't have merch on, though, meant he literally, like, it to me just seems like that's a last minute, yeah, okay, we agree, good, get out there. You know, and if you read all the behind the scenes stuff, there was like two guys in the production truck, and there was Triple H only at Gorilla, and it was cue the music, and there he went. You know, on top of that, I want to point out, did you look at that entrance graphic for him? Obviously, you get the big CM Punk with the Chicago symbols and everything else, the red and black that he's always been known for, at least since his Best in the World gimmick, which he's obviously maintaining. But every one of those graphics was every iteration of the character he's portrayed in WWE. Yeah. So there was the Straight Edge Society, there was the ECW champion, there was the one right before Best in the World, and then obviously the Best in the World. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. That one, they already had the graphic, you know, and you know, just to add to the speculation, Living Color had the newest version of the song remastered specifically a week before CM Punk came out, and that is the version of the song that's been licensed for him. So let me ask you about that, Tino. WWE obviously doesn't always use licensed music. They normally want to have their own guy sit there and create the music for them. Do you think they took it out of CM Punk's pocket to license that music?
No, I think they licensed it. I think that they, just like you said, when he went to AEW, that music is synonymous to CM Punk. Flair still using Space Odyssey, whatever. It's still a different version, but it's synonymous. The first part of Brian Daniels's music, still the Flight of the Condor, whatever it's called,
Right, right.
synonymous. You know what I'm saying? So
The difference
they
though is
knew, you know, when
that
you hear those first few chords that people know who's coming. They know what's about to happen.
So you know, I heard it this week on something where they actually said that and I forget where I heard it from because I've been listening to like some Meltzer, I've been listening to some Cornette, you know, like a bunch of different things with this. But they said that sound that you hear at the beginning of Cult of Personality is now becoming like that glass breaking
That's great.
of Stone Cold Steve Austin, or the if you smell, you know, that, you know, like
Apple juice. No.
absolutely apple juice is. I mean, every time I hear that football on Prime commercial, I'm like, where's John Cena?
Yep.
Like, I can't see him. Where is he? You know, like,
Yep.
how did they not get him for that commercial? Anyways,
oh shit, my dog's about to go. Nicole and Matthew just pull up. The dog's about to go crazy.
well, I'll tell you, I really don't have anything else for tonight.
Cool, because I hadn't seen my family in a week. So me neither.
So how about you go ahead, run it down.
All right, you can check him out on the Twitter, which is X. He is at Podcheck. I'm Hoodie Fan 91. You can check. Yeah, I'm excited. They're home. You can check us out with Potsy and Tino on Twitter, Potsy and Tino Show on Facebook. We're here each and every week on the Pots and Pan Network. Please give us thumbs up, give us a like, give us a share. Buy our shit. You can
So
also
there is one little caveat to the being here every week. December 22nd is I believe it's a Thursday, it might be a Friday.
Yeah.
But that 21st, 22nd area, we may not be on because it is the weekend of Christmas.
Yes.
It's also the weekend of my birthday, and it's when Iron Claw launches. So Tino and I will probably be going to see that. Again, just so everybody knows, the pre-sale code, which goes offline at 11:59 tonight for Monday Night Raw in Raleigh, is WWE Mania or Raleigh. So you can use either of those codes to get tickets to Monday Night Raw on the road to WrestleMania. Tino, with that, I don't have anything else. I know your family's getting ready to walk in, so you want me to go ahead and cue up the music?
Yeah, thank you to Adam's House. Thank you to Adam's House Cat for the wrestling song. You can buy it on iTunes for 99 cents. 99. See you next week.
We are out.
I am the greatest thing going today.